Hello to Emmanuel Shachaf.
Hello, hello.
Identity, the quest for a better future for Israel. You're coming back from an international conference in Germany. What exactly was taking place there?
We met with Palestinians at this difficult time to discuss, to negotiate some kind of agreement that we can come to under the present circumstances. We were hoping it would be a little bit outside the box. In the end, it was pretty much inside the box, meaning that the Palestinians stuck to their two-state approach, and we Israelis also remained on the two-state approach, which means that both sides are in a continuum of denial. Okay?
Yet you were presenting the one-state solution, the
Yes.
federation solution, the cantons, and what was the atmosphere towards those ideas?
There was really any problem with it. It wasn't that they didn't like it, because we know, of course, that a considerable part of the Palestinian public is in favor for a one-state solution. But the head of the delegation, the head of the Palestinian delegation, didn't want to hear about what I suggested. I suggested self-determination for the Palestinians within a federal framework. He didn't want to hear of self-determination. He wanted a state. So we relented and agreed in the end to a Palestinian state, which at this time for Israelis to agree to that is a considerable step. But these are only talks between activists, so I'm not sure they're going to have a big impact. And since I'm pretty sure we're going to go to a one-state solution in the end, I'm not more concerned.
Yet many countries, including in Europe, are in favor, out loud, for the first time towards a Palestinian state.
It's not really a big bloc. It's only three, for the time being, it's three countries, and it's Ireland, Norway, and Spain. They're not the most important countries in Europe. The most important countries are still hedging and haven't decided yet. And I think there won't be a single position by the European Union for the time being. And there won't be agreement with the United States. So this issue will remain outstanding for quite a while. I don't think anybody wants to recognize a Palestinian state before it actually comes into being, and that is still a long way ahead.
And do you think that the last decisions in Hague towards the international courts, towards the fighting in Israel, are going to create a real difference in ground, in Rafah, in Gaza?
It'll make the army more concerned, and it'll make the government more careful. The ministers won't be as outspoken as they were before. But in the end, the fighting will continue, and as we've seen, it continues, even including terrible accidents, like it happened 2 days ago.
So you don't think it would stop the war?
It won't stop the war. It won't stop the war as long as the United States permit us to continue the war. It won't stop the war.
Do you think that the last declaration of the justice authorities within the IDF, that soldiers were doing, let's say, illegal, or they are investigating illegal measures that were done by Israeli army forces, it's something that is a step to the right place?
Well, it's obviously a step into the right place, but it unfortunately came only as a result of the pressure in Hague, because I don't remember ever the army authorities publish the fact that they're investigating cases of, except in unusual cases maybe, cases of illegal acts by the soldiers in war.
Around 70 cases.
70 cases. We're talking about 70 cases right now, which is a not inconsiderable number. Okay, so if we're talking about 70 cases that are being investigated, we can say that there are probably a lot more cases that are not investigated. But the fact that they are being investigated and that the army owns up about it is a result of what's happening in The Hague.
What do you think is going to be happening with the results of the war in Gaza towards the more than 120 Israelis that are still missing in Gaza, the kidnapped ones?
Unfortunately, there's nothing that the government of Israel does to bring this issue to a closure.
End of war is something that the Israeli government is not willing to.
Is not willing to end the war, and as long as the war isn't going to end, there's not going to be a closure with regarding to the hostages, and it's a sad truth.
Tell me, if you were for a moment a personal consultant and hidden one to Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, well, he's not very much known by his abilities to keep his signed contracts all the times. So what basically is keeping him from signing on behalf of the Israeli state that the war is going to be ended, bringing the hostages back, and then 2 minutes, 2 days, 2 months, 2 years, whenever Israeli government or he decides to just start the war again? What is keeping him? Wouldn't you recommend him just do it?
No, I would of course recommend that you just do it, but you just do it because that's the only way for us to get out of this. But he thinks, I think his problem is that he thinks that he's losing control the moment he stops the war, and he won't know what will happen. Everything will start moving on its own while he's doing, not that he has much control while the war is going on, but while the war is going on, he has control over the army, he can control the amount of violence, he can keep things under check. The moment the war stops, other things start more. The political field is going to start moving. The pressure will be on to release the hostages, they will be released, and there will be call for elections, all kinds of things which he doesn't want at this time. So I think he's purely looking out for his own good, and there's nothing we can do to convince him to change his view on ending the war. The war at this time is completely counterproductive. Okay, there's absolutely no added value to keeping the war going for one more day.
Do you think that in the northern part, the Israelis are going to be coming to their homes safely within the war in Gaza?
No, that won't happen, because the war in the north will continue as long as the war in Gaza continues. Okay, so as long as there will be fighting in Gaza, there will be fighting on the north, and as long as there will be fighting on the north, there won't be a return of the people who left their homes there, and the situation will continue.
The situation which embraces huge amount of violence, and there is a unique draft report about the economy as a part of the mechanism that enables people or bringing them into the ambition to create this kind of violence with the economy aspect.
Yes.
Please, what is the last draft that you can share with us?
As you may know, that I have always kept that the land of Israel between the Jordan River and the sea is one economic unit, and is actually, we're living in a one-state scenario already. But the economic data which are presented are not the ones for the one-state scenario. We're cheating. Israel's providing data for Israel and not for the Palestinians, which are under our control. And similarly, the Palestinians are only giving the numbers for themselves. When you combine the numbers, you get an amount of inequality which is very close to the highest amount of inequality in the whole world. There's a coefficient, the Gini coefficient, which indicates the amount of inequality. It's expressed in percentages between 0 and 1. The higher the percentage, the more inequality there is, the higher the inequality is. The highest inequality in the world is in South Africa, which is about 60.5%. In Israel, Palestine combined, it's 60.1%. There is a correlation between the amount of violence in the territory and the Gini coefficient, the amount of inequality. And the more inequality, the more violence. And the violence that we have here in Israel-Palestine is to a certain degree a reflection of the economic inequality. And that has to be addressed. And the best way to address that is in a one-state scenario, in a federation, as we are proposing.
So basically, what you're emphasizing is that the Gini figure, the inequality in between Israelis and Palestinians, for instance, in the state of Tel Aviv or in the microstate of Rafah, it's part of the end game, the result of this inequality in the pocket, in the money, in the bank account, reflects the ambition to create these atrocities and violence.
Absolutely.
And murders in the Arab-Israeli population also.
Sure, that it's all connected. It's all connected to the economic reality and to the inequality, and it has to be addressed. And the best way to address that is in a real one-state scenario. So we have to make the changes as required.
Do you think when we're conducting this interview approximately every few short weeks, if we would create this interview 6 months from now, summarizing 2024, what is going to be the headlines that you would put to this year?
I think Israel has come to a stop. I think we're stuck. I think the political echelon doesn't know how to deal with the situation. Not the government for sure, but also those people who may take the reign after doing elections. I don't see anybody out there right now who has a clear vision of how to continue and improve and to get out of the hole we're in. So it remains to be seen how we come out of this.
Towards the end of this meeting, of this interview, of this report, any upside, any story with smile and hope that you would like to share?
A small story with smile and hope. During the security check-in at the El Al counter in Israel, the security officer, she was interested in the peace negotiations we held, and she wanted
in Munich, in Germany,
held in Germany, and she wanted the details, and she gave me her email in order to be able to provide her with all the background on the peace negotiations and the federation plan and so on and so forth. So I'm happy to realize that young people are out there who are interested and who want to know more.
Her personal email?
Her personal email.
That's very, very unique.
Yes.
Emmanuel Shachaf, people that want to be part of the community of the federation, of the books, the already existing books and the new coming books, how they can approach you?
On Facebook, Emmanuel Shachaf, or Identity, the Quest for Israel's Future, or the Federation Movement, as always.
Emmanuel Shachaf, I want to thank you very much.
Thank you.